Let's face it, when people think of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, the first thing they probably think of is the Amish. Or maybe some of the things that they make, or maybe they remember a sweet deal they picked up at one of the outlets like Rockville, or one of the other discount stores, or maybe they stopped by one of the nation's top hospitals, especially for heart stuff, or they came to get a nationally ranked liberal arts education, or just to get some great dessert. But I doubt when they think of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, they think of autism. But all of that's starting to change now, thanks to a few dedicated individuals out in the heart of Dutch country.
I'm actually the president of the Tommy Foundation, which is a nonprofit for autism here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Most importantly though, I'm the mom of a 9-year-old little boy named Thomas, who's actually the inspiration for the Tommy Foundation, who is on the autistic spectrum. The inspiration for the Tommy Foundation was really based on the challenges that my husband and I were facing at the time in terms of professionals and educational as well as medical professionals not really knowing all that much about the condition at that time. Really, when we first found out that our son had autism, it was when autism had just sort of started to become a bigger deal. So what we faced was that our community really just didn't know all that much about it. So both because we wanted to help families in our community who already had children with autism and just help them to understand that they weren't alone, and help them with different educational needs that they might have, and also so that we could better impact professionals in our area so that they knew the importance of being more educated about autism, we decided to start the Tommy Foundation. Well, child facilitation, what that basically is we were trying to find an approach that had actually worked with our son. At the time, we had done all the early intervention methods. We pretty much figured out that he had autism. We probably didn't use the term autism, but we realized that he needed some form of early intervention services probably around the time he was 2.5. So one of the main we did all the usual early intervention steps, if you will. Used the typical approaches that are very popular right now, and for him really nothing really was working until we tried an approach that's actually called the Sunrise method, which is based from the Autism Treatment Center of America out in Sheffield, Massachusetts. And one of the big things that you do there is that you use a direct one-to-one approach where you work with a child in it's called a playroom, but basically it's a distraction-free zone, if you will. And basically the child and you it's just the two of you, and you're focusing on socialization and on creating an actual relationship with that child, which is basically how I sometimes view autism, which is just it's a very self kind of place. And so what we actually try to do is create a little bridge there where the child can actually find and be able to digest pieces of their world in a more direct way through relationships that they can build with other people. So realizing that one of the biggest challenges we had from the get-go was finding people in our community that actually cared enough about autism or knew enough about it that would even be willing to be trained, because we do provide all of the training for that, to be child facilitators in our own son's program. And thankfully, through the help of our alma mater, Franklin Marshall College, we were able to find a number of different wonderful individuals that were actually able to come and start off those first steps. We've actually branched off now and have a lot of other members of the community that are participating as well. But thankfully, thanks to the administration and the students of the college, we were able to find a lot of students that were able to come in and work for 6-8 hours a week in our son's program. But realizing that that was such a big challenge for us made us realize the importance of helping other families that were also starting programs to find child facilitators. And in fact, if you talk to a lot of families, that will always be one of the main areas that they will tell you that they are having the most challenges with, is finding child facilitators, either because there isn't enough awareness in their community, or they have certain fears about letting another person in to their home and working with their child. And so regardless of where they're coming from that perspective, we try to help them with those areas.
Yes, since he was baby, he was delay everything, so my pediatrician recommend us to go to neurologist, but they didn't diagnose him with anything. So we went to see the developmental pediatrician when Alvin was just over 2.5 years old, and then at the time they diagnosed Alvin with autism. Oh, I was looking for volunteers in Lancaster area, and I couldn't find anyone, and I made a flyer. I was sharing with all the therapists and all the daycare right now, and nobody actually called me and asked me about the volunteering working with Alvin. So I was actually Google search volunteering Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and then the first came up was Tommy Foundation. Oh, he's really doing great with working with me and working with the volunteers, because I feel like we are learning home programming, longer is better, and he really responds to those full-time home program with all the volunteers and me, because I cannot do it everything by myself, and even my husband have to work all the time, and volunteer is really key to our program and help Alvin to get better. I mean, all the eye contacts and vocabulary. We start with the nonverbal, but the last 3 months he says around 20 words, and he's pulling my hands to play more, and looking at me and smiling at us, so which is really awesome.
If I had to summarize my experience in one word, it would probably be the word bounce, and I think that a great number of the volunteers probably would use the same word. Because I think we would all agree that we've never done so much bouncing over a period of 15 weeks.
I definitely would say that I need a lot of enthusiasm.
They know that you're there, and they're really looking at you, and they're engaged, and everything else doesn't matter. And for that second, everything you've done is really worth it.
And my experience working with the child for the past year has probably been the most fun I've had since I was his age.
It's changed my life, because I see children for I always saw children for who they were, but now I really see children for who they are.
Really, the inspiration with starting research was that as a parent, when you first embrace the fact that your child has autism, or even maybe if you didn't embrace it quite so much, but when you first find out that you have a child who is on the autistic spectrum, really the biggest tool that you have at your disposal is research. The problem is that you have a child that is on the autistic spectrum, and you probably work.
Well, we've done a lot of great research at the Tommy Foundation, things looking at serotonin, theory of mind, and things like that. But I'm really excited about the spring here of 2008. We really have some committed individuals who are looking into things like brainwave patterns, synchronization, things that you normally don't hear about too much with autism. We're really looking at some people who have a lot of experience in electronics, physics, neurophysiology, things like that, that will help us really take a look at advanced things. The National Institute of Health is even doing cutting-edge research on this. They've only been able to publish one thing on it so far, and we're really looking to make a name for ourselves as someone who does cutting-edge research.
I explored the causes of autism since it's a big unknown right now in our society. After talking with Suji and Rich about what they think their child, how his autism developed, I really wanted to explore the prevailing theories such as thimerosal theory, androgen, MMR vaccine theory, and I explored those three and just really found evidence based on it.
The program specifically is very focused on early detection in play scales and analyzing behaviors in children before they're diagnosed at as early as 13 months to see if there's anything that we can pick up on there to get involved early and really make a difference in children's lives. I do think I have helped to stimulate the minds of some people who are asking the important questions. I'm involved in research evaluation. The people who are doing the early detection research at my graduate school, they consistently present their research saying, are we doing what we need to do? Is this a valid, reliable way to ask this? Is this a generalizable finding? So I've really been able to pick their brains and play devil's advocate and really make sure that we're producing good research.